All right, good morning. Happy Friday. Good Friday. Hope you're going to have, looking forward to the weekend as much as I am. And anyway, for you dog lovers, this is Take Your Dog to Work Day. So if you've got a pet-friendly office, go ahead and take your favorite dog to the office. I just want to make a little slight adjustment there. All right, in the news, we have Obamacare repeal. The Senate unveiled their repeal measure, replacement measure, and it was received with mixed reaction. We have some Republican senators that said they would support it with some changes. That's Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, and Mike Lee. So I think they're going to vote for it in the end. They just want the bill to go further. Now, on the other hand, you have Susan Collins, the liberal Republican from Maine, who thinks it goes too far. She's concerned about Medicaid cuts, and that's what a liberal will do, is that they're always worried about when you're cutting any kind of government program. And then I've said before too, the problem with Obamacare is that it is the law of the land, and trying to roll that back is going to be very difficult. And this is why you see a lot of fighting here, is because there are things in place. People are used to some of the extra benefits, even with these skyrocketing costs. They look at small groups of people who would be affected by certain things, and they say, well, we can't take that away from them. Well, they didn't have it before, and then you gave it to them. Now you need to cut that back, because a lot of things you gave to these people are costing the insurance companies and others a fortune. So I don't want to see my rates increase anymore. I'm still waiting for Obama's $2,500 reduction in premiums, which I think anybody with any reasonable mind knew was nothing but a big lie and a pipe dream, and we definitely haven't seen that at all. So they like to get this done before the July 4th recess. That is not a lot of time. They may get it done, but I'm a little skeptical right now. I'm going to have to wait and see what happens here in the next few days to see if they even have a reasonable chance of getting that done. And they have 52 senators. They need 50 so they can get the vice president in there to cast the tie-breaking vote. My preference, I'd like to see them get at least 51 without having to, so they don't have to bring in the vice president for this. So we'll wait and see how this goes. Obviously, the Democrats have been, they've been waiting for this, and they've been unloading, including former President Obama. So, Obama has been a lot more involved, a lot more political than, say, George W. Bush was after he left office. He's kind of faded away, and he hasn't done a whole lot politically. He wanted to stay out of the limelight, and I think that was a good strategy for him. Not sure it's a great strategy for Obama to keep commenting on there, because then he becomes yet another lightning rod. But maybe that's the distraction the Democrats want from the fact that they don't know what the heck they're doing. So speaking of that, segue into Nancy Pelosi and her leadership. So now she's getting lots of blowback from people in her own party about her leadership. She held a press conference and she ran off a list of things that she's good at. She's a masterful legislator, she's a great leader, blah, blah, blah. But let's look at the track record for Nancy Pelosi when, it's just like, where does the rubber meet the road? Well, she was the Speaker of the House, and she's no longer the Speaker of the House because she presided over an election where they lost 63 seats and the majority, and then they have, under her leadership, they have lost 4 straight House elections, and because they weren't able to get any real traction on these special elections, they're poised to lose the 5th in a row in 2018. And Democrats are pretty disconsolate about this. They have been talking that Nancy needs to be replaced, that the brand is terrible, there's no message. And that's the thing. Pelosi, if she had stood up at least yesterday and said, look, here's what we've done, here's what we're going to do, this is our message to the American people, rather than just saying, I am a great leader, kind of a thing, just these kind of talking points, and trying to spin the special election losses as something that gives them some positive hope. They wanted to make that a referendum on Trump, and they lost badly in that sense. So when you spend $23 million on a special election, and you thought you had this thing won, and then you lose, you have to start thinking about what are you doing wrong here. That they should have handily won that just on paper, based on what you were seeing from all the anti-never Trumpers and all this stuff like this. But all that kind of that the march and the rallies, all the comments that are being made out there that are being hyped up by the media, doesn't translate into votes. That's not what the voters want. They want to talk about economics. And one of the things that'll hurt Ossoff too is the fact that it wasn't illegal for him to not live in his own district, but by the fact he didn't live in the district he wanted to represent, he couldn't vote in the election. So he couldn't even vote for himself. And I think that does have some resonance. And I think for every single representative that's not living in their district, Republican or Democrat, the same thing should be made of them. Just pointed out to the constituents that, by the way, remember, this person who represents you does not live in this neighborhood, does not live in your area. So how is he or she really going to truly represent you if they can't vote for themselves and they don't really know the local issues because they live somewhere else? Someone else actually takes care of their issues in the district that they live in. Anyway, other things. Johnny Depp, I thought he was being funny, and he cracked a joke about when was the last time an actor assassinated a president. So that's attracting a lot of headlines. But once again, it is Hollywood. It is cluelessness. They don't know they don't know anything about anything, and they stick their hand into politics, and they definitely don't know anything. So it's just ridiculous. If these people had any brains, they'd just stay out of politics altogether until they actually understood what was going on. But they just can't help resist jumping into the fray, making stupid statements along the way. But when you've got a guy like Johnny Depp, whose entire career really now focuses on being, on Pirates of the Caribbean, and that's it. That's about all you can do. That people will come and see you act. That's not exactly saying that you're at the pinnacle of your career for that. President Trump also yesterday got into the fray. He ended weeks of speculation about whether or not there were any tapes of him speaking with James Comey. He said that there were not. Not really sure why he floated that idea, except that he was trying to provide an extra distraction, and which he did, and maybe a little bit to try to keep Comey in line, for which didn't really happen there. The Daily Mail had spotted Comey visiting New York Times headquarters yesterday, so maybe the leaker will now just come up with something that will be more official from him and not necessarily a leak. But he definitely leaked things that he shouldn't have leaked, and so again, his credibility, I think, has been beaten up and been shot up pretty bad, I think, overall. Also, just finally, there was a great billboard in Texas put out by, and I keep doing this, I should just keep this in my lap, by a guy from Texas, and he said, ABC News, I grew up with you, we are through, the Russians didn't elect Trump, I did. And so the guy's name is Kyle Courtney from Bourne, Texas. I'm going to keep that up for a couple of months. Maybe that's an idea. We should start a GoFundMe page to fund more of these darn type of things and put them around the country. I'd attach my name to one of those suckers, I guess. Why not? If I had the money to go put one of those suckers up, and I think that's what happens. I think we start a GoFundMe page for a billboard like that. You can use the same language and text and just put your name on there. I have no idea what a billboard costs, but I bet you in a lot of areas you'd get support for that. All right. Well, anyway, have a great day. Have a great weekend. We will stay safe and stay cool if you're out in the West in particular, and then we'll see you on Monday.